everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. Hope you've been doing extremely well. And the Patreon seems to be going pretty well. I have 4 members currently on the Patreon, and I just posted recently a 2-part audiobook. Each clip's about 20 to 25 minutes long of my chapter on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. Hopefully within the next week or so, I will also have posted the first half of the Qliphothic Tree chapter as well. And then after that chapter, we will finally be getting into the Masonic degrees. So chapter 6 will cover the Entered Apprentice degree. And I'm thinking it may take me up to another month or so to get that audiobook verse recorded or put up there, because I still need to go through that chapter and fix some things, add some things, do my editing that I normally do. So to those of you who have become members or become patrons, thank you very much. Cory Falcone, Joseph Arthur, Isaac Mason, and I forget the newest member, Fungi something, but I was really intrigued by that name. I think you also have your own YouTube channel as well. I checked it out really briefly. So thank you for becoming a patron. And if anybody wants to get in on the Patreon, it is only $5 per month. You can cancel that at any time that you wish. Maybe there's a particular chapter you're waiting for, to come out, and maybe you want to wait until that's released first. Or if you just want to support me, you can go ahead and become a patron as well, because that helps me out tremendously. Every little bit helps. If you are not familiar with who I am, my name is Tyler Smith. What I do on this YouTube channel is I cover different esoteric and occult research subjects. We get into ceremonial magic, Freemasonry, all sorts of things. So I cover different things. And while I am not a professional occultist or practitioner, I do have a lot of experience with certain ceremonial magic practices. And just a lot of life experiences in general, which have kind of forced me to go through different ego deaths over time. I've had some pretty very death and rebirth kind of moments in my life. Some of them being, not so fun, and they were more trials of physical trials, others being more emotional trials. But all of those sorts of things kind of help transform us, and through the pain and the trial and the suffering, it kind of sends us more on the path that, we're meant to take. Because if we're properly learning from those lessons and we integrate that, then that helps us on our own personal journey. So I think that pretty much goes ahead and gets everything out of the way that I needed to just talk about real quick before starting the subject of this video. I think in this video, I had someone who wanted me to talk a little bit about numerology and maybe some gematria, and I am no expert on either of those subjects. While I do find it fascinating, I'd have to do a little bit of research in some of my books and find some references to get some actual, gematria equations and kind of just numerology in general. Now, I do understand the symbology of the numbers very well. The numbers 0 through 9, and every other number is a combination of those first digits. So if you understand the symbolism of the main numbers, then that helps you to kind of figure out what the universe is trying to tell you through number synchronicity, because that is a very strong it's a very powerful thing when it starts happening. And I could probably do a whole video on that alone, just number synchronicities and what those mean. And when they're going to show up and how to recognize the signs and, where to make the moves on the game board, so to speak. When it comes to actual numerology and gematria, there's people who know how to read the Bible, or they might have an original Hebrew translation, and that's really what you would need to be able to decode the numerological meanings of, the Hebrew letters and what kind of the hidden code in the Bible is. A lot of things are zodiac symbology, so it's metaphors about the zodiac. Every person in the Bible's name has a meaning, a different meaning. So that character itself can be symbolic of something. Like Solomon, the 3 syllables, I talk about that in my book. Sol, the sun, Om, which is the primordial vibration of the universe, and On, which is the Egyptian city of light. It's probably where we get, turning the light switch on, where we get that from. So anyway, enough ramblings on all that stuff. Thank you for sticking with me. So let's get into the symbology of the blazing star. It's one of my favorite symbols in Freemasonry. So kind of what does the blazing star symbolize, as far as its ancient aspects, and then we'll get into a little bit more of the practical application of that symbol. So in the lodge, you have the 3 main ornaments of the lodge. You have the checkerboard floor. I did an entire video covering the symbology of the checkerboard floor. So a lot of the times these 2 symbols will go hand in hand. The mosaic pavement, the indented tessel or tessellated border surrounding the checkerboard floor, which is actually symbolic of the manifold blessings and comforts in life, like that abundance, the things that bring us peace and joy. And then the blazing star in the center of the lodge, which is right where the altar is, it's symbolically right where the altar is, symbolizes divine providence. It's the contact point with deity. It doesn't matter whether you're a Mason or a Golden Dawn initiate or an OTO initiate, it's always going to be at the altar where you make the contact with the deity. And this isn't, a deeper occult understanding of God or deity, how they are truly viewed in mythical or mystical orders, is it's not so much that God is something outside of yourself, like trying to, arbitrarily dictate, oh, this is good or this is bad. No, from a more esoteric understanding, this contact with God, it's a contact with your own higher self. So when you're making the connection with that higher self through ritual, what you're really doing is you're invoking that energy into yourself. That blazing star is acting as a portal or a gateway to bring in aspects from your higher self so that you're kind of pushed to be a better version of yourself here on the physical plane. I kind of always joke around with some of my esoteric buddies that are have been initiated in other mystery schools. And initiation, it's kind of like having a fire lit under your ass. It's gonna make you, it's gonna kind of bind you a little bit more to being, a productive member of society, being someone who leaves some kind of a legacy, even if it's just through your actions and your words in this lifetime. Be somebody who's, remembered for positive things, for, actually being a catalyst for transformation here on the physical plane. Overall, just really pushing yourself to be a better version of yourself. That's really what Freemasonry and what all these mystery traditions are truly all about. It's not about the dogma and, all the strict rules, and while that does come into play, it's really for your best interest. It's really to help you be your best self so that you are not wasting this incarnation. That's why you're faced with a symbolic or ritual death, is so that you realize how ever-present, mortality can be. When we're faced with death, it allows us to live a life that's more in alignment with our higher purpose or our higher self. That way we're not just fearing death all the time, but we've faced it, we've embraced it, really kind kind of lean into it and overcome it. So really, it is the resurrection here while, living a mortal or physical existence. So, getting back into that divine providence of what this blazing star represents, I looked up the definition of providence, and it's like the ever-protecting force of God. It's the protection of God or the protection of divinity. And that could kind of be what even the compasses represent in the square and compasses. Because remember, as I just said, the blazing star is often seen at the center of the lodge, usually accompanied by the letter G too. You'll see the blazing star with the letter G in the middle a lot of the times. So it is the presence of the architect, coming into being. You're communicating with that aspect of cosmos, of yourself, through ritual. And you're also invoking this divine blessing. So as long as you stay in accordance with your higher self, you're staying in alignment with your higher self, you're going to be protected by Source. Source is going to be looking out for you. It's that divine providence. The ability to be able to erect a spiritual building in our own lives. So the checkerboard floor represents more the ground floor or the foundation level. And if you have that going on really well for yourself, then you will be able to manifest the blazing star or the pentagram. Now, if you read Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, go ahead and check out my playlist on Morals and Dogma if you haven't checked that out. If you're into that book, or if you're into Freemasonry, I highly recommend you check out that book and check out my YouTube playlist as well. Sometimes the pentagram, Albert Pike talks about it. Albert Pike talks about it being synonymous with like Sirius, the dog star. Sometimes it has connections to the tetragrammaton. Other times, the star can represent Horus. So there's lots of different mystical meanings. The star of the Magi, the star that the wise men followed in the east. So sometimes it's even equated with Jesus in that way. The Eastern Star, the star of the Order of the Eastern Star, even though it's a reverse pentagram, which is usually, it's a more materialistic symbol. It's not an evil symbol. It just has a more physical connotation than the upright pentagram. But remember that the reverse pentagram is within the upright pentagram, and the upright pentagram exists within or in the middle of the upside down pentagram. So each exists within the other, and you see this theme a lot with the masculine and feminine principles, in the world, in the cosmos. Each one exists within the other. You can't have one without the other. And it's kind of almost this cosmic what's the word I'm looking for? Not conundrum. There's another word for it that I cannot get off of the top of my head at the moment. I hate when that happens. I have such a vast depository of definitions and terms in my mind. Sometimes it's hard to grab the one at the moment that I'm really looking for. So I'm having trouble with that. Paradox, that's the word I was looking for. So it's a cosmic paradox. Sometimes the masculine residing within the feminine and the feminine residing within the masculine. With the blazing star, of course, we see star symbology everywhere. We see it in video games. Look at the Mario games. It's always about the star power. If you play Super Mario 64, I showed it in the Mosaic Pavement video, but on the floor in Super Mario 64, you see that checkerboard floor with the blazing star right in the center. So it's in video games all the time. You see it in like the military, particularly with I think it's the Army that uses the star. You see it in sports, football. You see the star symbology everywhere. So the star represents the upright man, it's the Vitruvian man, it's the 5 elements, it's all of these different mystical components that can be attributed to the star. Of course, the blazing star at its essence is really the pentagram. That's really what it is. And I did a whole video on the symbology of the pentagram. So if you want to go back into my older videos and check that video out as well, I do highly recommend you do that. If the pentagram, learning about the pentagram is of interest to you, the pentagram's really such a vast subject. I could do a whole other video on it probably. Studying Israel Regardie's books a little bit. I think he writes about the pentagram in the Middle Pillar book that he has. So there's a whole chapter talking about the pentagram, so I could also do a video on that at some point. I have so many video ideas that I could record. It's hard to know like which one I'm going to end up doing on a particular day, but for some reason I felt drawn to talk about the blazing star today. So when we do like the lesser ritual of the pentagram, and we say, "For about me flames the pentagram, and within me shines the six-rayed star," it's all that star symbology once again, this blazing star symbology. And of course the hexagram is important too when you're at the altar, when you're in the center of the lodge, because when you're doing ritual, like the lesser ritual of the pentagram, you are in the middle of the cosmos, you are at the center of the universe. You have all the above planes above you, Source, Kether, and even beyond that, Ein Sof, Or, Ein Sof, and Ein above you, and then you're grounded in Malkuth, so as above, so below. You're the dot within the middle of the circle. So I could go on and on about some of the like magical correspondences with the pentagram, but I've pretty much covered the major ones already, and like I said, I've done a video on the pentagram. So let's talk a little bit about the blazing star in a little bit more practical, through a more practical lens. Another interesting one, I looked it up too. Something about the blazing star, I looked it up earlier today. I don't remember what I typed in Google, but there is also something to do with, that's what I looked up. America. There's a goddess called America, and I looked up what the word America means, and Merica. If you play Elden Ring 2, there's also a goddess called Merica, and it has a lot of connection to do with the archetypal energy of what America originally symbolizes. It's that Isis type energy, that divine feminine. But what was really interesting to me is it actually translated, and I can't remember which language it was, but it translates to Star of the West. Very interesting, because America, this is considered the West over here. And of course, the star symbology is very prevalent with like the American flag and a lot of what America represents. And this is kind of where America is like the destined land when it comes to like the spiritual awakening. A lot of it's happening here in America. I think this is, pardon my French, but this is really where shit's gonna go down, is over here in the Americas. And the whole true symbology of the star, it's like this symbol that's been ever present, like with mankind throughout its history, getting into the Americas and this Star of the West that they're talking about, this America. So it's really more of that star energy or that star power being manifested through the magic that brings about countries and stuff. There's a lot of esoteric history that goes behind the formation of this country. So if you want to learn more about that, I highly recommend that you look into a book called The Secret History of America. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, by Manly P. Hall. That is a wonderful, wonderful book. Very, very interesting material in that. But the blazing star in general, it's this bursting forth, this illuminating ray. You ever have those times in your life where, especially when you've taken care to, you're really not expending your energy too much. You're conserving your energy and you're building your energy up. And they talk about this a lot in Masonry. It's the calling of the heart. There's a lot of association with the heart and how the spirit communicates through the heart. And when you are in alignment with your true self and you're really following your true soul's purpose, you're going to get this blazing star feeling come through you, a lot of the times through the chest area, and then it'll eventually move its way up, through the Kundalini energies into the higher spheres as well. It's important to remember the lower energies and the higher energies. You don't want to just focus purely on the higher energies, because this can actually throw you a lot off balance if you're not like really grounded well. And it can actually bring about a lot of health problems. And I'm speaking from personal experience on this. I tried to work too much on the higher levels first without really getting that ground floor, and it caused me some problems. I was like opening up too many energy centers real quick in the quote higher chakra areas. But enough about that. This internal stirring, when you are following your life's purpose, you know that with your thoughts, words, and actions, you're carrying out actions and things in the physical world that are going to bring about, amazing changes. You're on your life's purpose. You're doing what you're meant to do. You're lending a hand to, souls in need when they need it. And, you're just being this bright star. You're being this bright example. We even see in school, like when they would give you stars or, take away stars for good behavior. That's like a very profane version of what the star really represents. And this blazing star within you, it's really a deep sense of eternal gratitude. It's very similar to the pot of incense symbol as well in Masonry. And when you feel this warmness within your soul, it's this fiery, blazing star, you're able to kind of go forth and become the God, become the divine essence, become the divine source here in the physical world, making changes here in the world to really set it up for the kingdom that is to come. We may not see it today, we may not see it tomorrow, but if that spirit lives and exists within us, we can make the changes to bring about that kind of world, to bring about, quote unquote, the new Atlantis, a world that is more based on, spiritual understandings. Really coming to understand ourselves is really what the ultimate goal is all about, is understanding ourselves on the deepest levels and layers. And so that's really the practical application of this blazing star, is really appreciation, it's gratitude, it's being able to enjoy the present moment, being able to enjoy what you have. We also see I forgot to mention too, we see the star a lot, symbology during Christmas. Christmas time's coming up. And you're going to see a lot of star symbology. It's everywhere. It's really everywhere. And the star at the top of the tree and the presence or the manifold abundance, bountifulness being manifested, under the tree, which really, the whole symbology of presence under the trees comes from magic mushrooms growing under the one of the trees. I don't know if it's actually like a pine tree, if that's what the original tree was, but that whole thing's interesting anyway. And of course the mushrooms, like the red and white, Santa Claus wears red and white, so it's a lot of pagan, interesting, even comes down to fungi and all that stuff, so very interesting. So that's pretty much mostly what I wanted to mention in this video. And and sometimes it's funny because like it's got me into thinking about the holiday seasons a little bit now. And holidays, I'm not really a huge fan of the holidays. I think it's kind of just this cycle that humans do every single year to kind of distract themselves from like realizing how bad the world, not how bad the world is not bad, it's just people are so out of alignment with what's even real that they have to use all these holidays to kind of distract themselves. Like, I get it that it brings people together, like it brings families together, like they get to spend time together, but why aren't we just doing that anyway? Why is it that we have to, like, at these few times of the year, like, act the way that we're actually supposed to be acting, like, all the time? It just doesn't add up for me. And I mean, Christmas is cool for the kids and stuff. That's really what I enjoy out of it now. I like to see, you know, the kids. You know, my son, he's 2 now. It's really fun. Well, he's about to be 2. He's coming up April next year. So he's a little over 1.5. But it's good to see him enjoy Christmas, you know. But other than that, I don't really, like, care for the holidays. I think there's way too much hype, too much pressure to, like, buy gifts for people. It's like, I'm one of those people who just kind of likes to buy things for myself every once in a while when I have some money saved up. But I don't really like to shop like a whole lot. Like, that's, material things just become annoying because there's still Christmas presents I know from, like, last year I haven't really been able to enjoy. So someone who understands the true meaning of the blazing star and has true appreciation for what they already have, you know, there's so many things I already have that I haven't really even taken the time to enjoy fully, you know. And that's something I like to do, is I like to go back and grab an old book that I've had for a long time. I like to go back and play a video game that I've had maybe for almost a year and actually enjoy it. Like, I don't need to add a whole bunch of material bullshit in my life that, you know, I'm not even going to use, or it's just going to be put on a shelf somewhere. So that was just kind of a little side ramble I wanted to say real quick. So I think that pretty much sums it up for the blazing star and what it means. And yeah, I don't know that I could really go on too much more about that. This is almost a 30-minute video at this point. I know I kind of talked about the Patreon and stuff in the beginning. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the topic of this video. So yeah, if you like this video, if you like the content on this channel, please make sure to subscribe, click the like button, and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified of new videos. Please, you know, consider becoming a member of the Patreon. You'll get access to a video on how to do the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, my new method that I use. You can use the traditional directions if you want, and I also have an audio book for the chapters that I have so far for my book, Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic. So one more thing I do want to say real quick. You know, life's kind of interesting. My dad, his health's not been the best for a while, but we found out that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So that's kind of just been another thing on my mind. I'm thinking about him a lot. So I don't know if you guys, you know, pray, or I just try to keep people, like, in my thoughts and stuff. And so maybe if you could keep my dad in your thoughts. And there's been a couple other, like, health scares in the family, so just, you know, please keep them in your thoughts, and, you know, think positive thoughts, and that would mean a lot to me. So, but anyway, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. I appreciate you all, and I definitely wanted to get a video out today. I've been working more on the Patreon stuff as of late, but I love doing these videos. I have many more that I want to do. I wish I had more time because I enjoy doing them. I really want to do a live stream soon too. I had a lot of fun the last time I did a live stream. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Peace and blessings, and until next time.